artists, my name is Miss Charlotte and I'm a teaching artist with PS Arts. Today we are going to be working on an art project inspired by this artwork. So take a few moments to look closely at this artwork. So artists, great observations. This artwork is called Cartonlandia and it's by an artist named Serrano. And it's actually a 3D sculpture that is 5 feet tall. That's how tall I am. So if you imagine walking in and seeing a sculpture as tall as a person, you could actually walk around it. Now, this is a picture of Serrano, the artist, and she's a first-generation Mexican-American artist. She now lives in Portland, Oregon, and she says that she was really influenced by a trip she took to Mexico when she made Cartonlandia. So, just like the artist Serrano uses her artwork to celebrate her Mexican culture and her American culture, you're gonna make a 3-dimensional sculpture that celebrates your culture or what you like to do. Maybe you like to play violin, and so one print will be a violin and the other print will be soccer ball because you really like playing soccer. So it can be about your identity, or you can do prints that celebrate your neighborhood, your community. Okay, so in order to build this community, this city, we are going to do printmaking today. Here are the materials that you will need. Washable colored markers. They cannot be permanent, they must be washable because we're gonna add water to stamp it. If you have a styrofoam plate or something styrofoam, we're going to engrave using a pen. We're gonna press into the styrofoam. It also helps if you have scissors and paper. It can be thin printer paper. You're also going to need a sponge and a little bit of water. If you want to make the 3D version, another material you will need is a tissue paper box, and maybe I added a smaller box on top just so I could get that stacked look. So first I'm going to show you how to do printmaking. Take a look. One of my favorite things about my community, Venice Beach, is that every night at sunset, people come out and walk their dogs and chat and watch the sun go down. It's a real sense of togetherness. So I'm going to show you how to do a sunset first with our printmaking technique. All right, we've got my steps here. If it helps you to print it out, you can do that. The link is down below. We're gonna draw. Keep it simple. The reason is because the stamp, the simpler the better. So I'm going to take my paper plate. If you have a round paper plate, that's fine too. I'm just gonna cut the edges off because I want it to be able to lie flat when I stamp it. Printmaking is like stamping. We're making a stamp that we can reuse over and over. You might want to save this for later. If you want to add a road or something, I added it as my bike path because I was inspired by the road and the ice cream truck and the cars going through Cartonlandia. Now, here is my styrofoam that's going to become my stamp. Looking at the artwork, the sample, if you are planning to do prints on all sides of the tissue box, that would be 4, and then 4 more if you want to add on top. You would want to measure that your stamp is the same size as your tissue box. So this is if you want to turn your 2D image, two-dimensional image, into our 3D sculpture. So I just trim that. Doesn't matter which side of the styrofoam you use. Our first step is to draw with pen. So I'm going to draw a horizon line. Now I'm pressing into the styrofoam to engrave, to make a groove, okay? And a lot of times I have to go over it several times so that I feel the texture, I feel the bump. I'm using a straight line here. In art, we talk about different types of lines. And I want a straight, horizontal, bold, thick horizon line. I want that to be really clear. So up close, you can kind of see it's engraved, it's indented, there's a groove there. Now, if you push too hard, it will break through the styrofoam. Then you just turn it over and use the other side if the hole isn't too big, or you start with a new one. I'm gonna do a curvy line for the sun. And I'm gonna make that thick and bold as well, because again, I really want it to stand out. So I might have to go over it several times. And I'm pressing to engrave, but I'm also being gentle so that I don't bust through the styrofoam. I do recommend using a ballpoint pen because it's an easier tool for engraving. Pencils or really sharp pens tend to break through the styrofoam. So we've got 2 bold lines, a horizontal straight bold line and a curvy bold line. Then I would like some waves. I'm gonna do some wavy lines for waves. This is just an example. Yours does not have to look exactly like mine. Again, I'm going over each one a couple of times because I want to make sure when I run my finger over it that I feel the groove, I feel the indentation. Now it's time to color and stamp. So you'll notice here, draw, keep it simple. Engrave, make sure the grooves are deep. We check that with our fingers. Step 3 is color the styrofoam plate with the side of the marker. Now, I am gonna get my paper ready. I chose because Cartonlandia and Anna Serrano use such bold, bright colors. I'm gonna use yellow cardstock. You can also use construction paper. I'm gonna do the print on this. I am gonna get it ready because I'm going to want to make sure that as soon as I'm done coloring, again with the edge of the marker, not the tip, the edge, the side of it, as soon as I'm done coloring, I want to be able to stamp it before the marker dries out. And that's also where the water comes in. So I am going over it a couple times. It's almost like you're adding ink or paint right to the stamp. And the ocean has some green in it too, so I'm gonna layer in some green. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect, but I do want to make sure the marker is really colored in. Now I'm thinking about my yellow sun. My paper is yellow, so we'll see what happens. I might also add some orange. And I'm actually gonna go outside the lines a little bit, because when I stamp it, I wanna be able to see those lines really well. So I'm gonna go over the sun and outside the lines a little bit. Now, it's a sunset, so I'm gonna add some other sunset colors. Maybe some red. And even some purple. For a really vibrant sunset. I'm gonna add some more red in. It looks like the red kind of faded. Okay. So, the next step, step 4, wet the paper. Squeeze out most of the water. So, I actually cut my sponge in half. You can use a full sponge or not. I'm gonna squeeze out most of the water. I just want it to be damp. I brush the water over the paper so it's a little shiny, okay? Too much water, my colors will bleed. Not enough water, my stamp, the colors won't transfer. I stamp it, I hold it, I don't move it. Then I take another piece of paper, it can be a scratch paper, and I'm just putting it over so that it's easier. This hand stays here and the other hand presses and rubs. Now if I need to get to that, I make sure the styrofoam doesn't move because I want the stamp to be clear. So I'm using one hand to inker and one hand to press, and I'm pressing all the way through the corners. Now, I can take a peek. It looks like most of the color has transferred. Ta-da! My Venice Beach sunset. So, what do you notice, artists? Maybe you notice that the black lines, the black engravings here, turn out clear. Right? Because that black part was pushed into the styrofoam so it doesn't touch the paper during the stamp. Notice how nicely these bold lines showed up. Again, the black line, if I were doing it on paper, they would turn on white paper, they would turn out white. So that would be our Venice Beach sunset. If I'm adding it to my tissue box, I wait till it dries. I cut it out. And I tape it or glue it on to the box. And you can do different prints for different sides. So maybe I do my sunset print and then another print. Maybe you do prints of your favorite ice cream shop or your favorite park or your favorite skyscraper that's in your neighborhood. So artists, after you've completed your two-dimensional prints, that means just the 2D flat on paper, you can glue them or tape them onto your tissue boxes and other boxes to make a three-dimensional piece, 3D artwork, just like Anna Serrano's Cartonlandia. We have made a 3D sculpture today using the technique of printmaking, of stamping. I say thank you, artist. You say thank you, Miss Charlotte. I go thank you, artist. Thank you, Miss Charlotte. And. Stay creative. Bye-bye.